My name is Stan Cornett, and I'm the owner of Sid's Pizza. What separates us from everybody else? You know, you can change the name and call yourself New York style pizza or whatever style, this and that. It's all the same pizza out there, I think. When I moved here in '89, you know, we really couldn't find any pizza that was any good, I thought. We wanted something different. We wanted something that was going to be completely original and not like nothing you ever had. I consider what we make here artwork. I mean, it's just, I'm still amazed when it comes out of the oven of what it looks like and what it tastes like for people to experience it. Like, you know, it's not considered work to me. I thoroughly enjoy what I do. So I grew up in Southern California. I was born in San Jose, and my father moved all of us, my brothers and sisters, to Southern California in 1967. It was a great place to grow up. It was 10 minutes from Newport Beach, so that was kind of my stomping ground. In the summer of '78, I was old enough to get a job, and my brother was working at this steakhouse. It was a famous steakhouse called the Barn Steakhouse. So I went and applied for a job as a dishwasher, and I got the job. So that's probably where I learned to like the restaurant business was that. So at a very early age, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. It was fun. It was exciting. So from there, I went to college up in Northern California. I was asked to be in one of my friends, be a groomsman in his wedding. And the wedding was in outside of Minneapolis in 1988. So I flew to Minneapolis when I was in college, and I met this girl who was a bridesmaid, and I ended up marrying her.
My name is Sharon Cornett. I am the proud owner of Sid's Pizza along with my husband. We met in 1988 at my sister's wedding and had a whirlwind romance. We met and were engaged in 3 weeks. And one of our first conversations was Stan always wanted to own his own restaurant, and that was his dream.
So after we met, went back to Southern Cal and moved to Georgia. And we got married in 1989. I was managing a steakhouse in Buckhead in 1991. And from there, I was kind of, I guess, a journeyman manager for a lot of independent type places. And then when our second daughter was born, I realized I had to have like insurance and stuff like that. I think I was 34 years old. I got a job with the pizza chain that was eventually bought out by McDonald's. And that's where I got my real education, on managing restaurants, the whole aspect of managing restaurants, the whole financial side of it. I became an area manager. I had 4 stores underneath me. And then I think we built 20 restaurants in 1 year, which was crazy. McDonald's decided they wanted to get out of the pizza business, so they sold that company back to the founder.
We were kind of at a crossroads. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to keep working for other people, or do you want to take the jump and do this for yourself? And he felt confident. I felt confident. This was like a crossroads. We need to do this because this is your dream, and we just need to make that dream come true.
So we found a spot right by our house, a small spot, 1,000 square feet, and we borrowed from our house on a revolving line of credit. And I knew that if for some reason we didn't make it, that I wasn't going to lose my house because it was a small startup.
We started in a small little shop off of McGinnis Ferry, and for the first 3 years, it was kind of a struggle. It always takes twice as long and twice as much money to get anything started. We've learned that a few times.
Again, I had all the confidence that, operating-wise, I knew what I was doing, but it's a little bit different when it's your own money. How much money do you have to last you for whatever? And so it was kind of scary.
We had two small kids. I was working full-time. He was at the store.
How do you get people to try us that's never heard of us? They've had their favorite pizza for 20 years. We did a lot of flyers, so they were called door hangers that we would put not on the door, but we would put them on the mailbox.
This is before social media, so you just had to do everything to get your name out there.
There was a big subdivision, Seven Oaks. I think there's 800 homes in there, and I did that in one day. So there was 800 flyers on people's mailboxes. And that afternoon, there was a huge windstorm. So all those flyers were in bushes and on the grass and people's cars, and people called me, were really angry. But I got more business out of that one day than any other day that we opened. So it worked. I still have customers to this day, 20 years later, that remark on that. I never would have heard you guys had I not found your flyer in my bush. When we first opened, we had some customers that would walk in and try us for the first time and go home and call us back and thank us because it was the best pizza they ever had. And we had a lot of that. And, I would go home and tell my wife that. And so for the first few months, just the feedback was amazing. But she would say, well, that's great, but you lost $5,000 this month.
There were some days that were great. There were some days that weren't great. But it slowly just became a word of mouth type of marketing plan that we had.
I remember there was one phone call, I think we were probably a couple weeks in, and a lady called, and she talked to whoever was answering the phones and said, can I speak to the owner? And the first thing is like, oh God, what did we do wrong? And I got the phone, I said, Stan can help you. And she said, I just want to let you know we had your pizza and it was amazing and you're almost there. You keep doing what you're doing. And she was totally complimentary, but I guess she must have known that we were just open, but it was, just hang on, you're almost there. When we were first, building the restaurant out and before we got open, I had some recipes in my head and stuff written down, and I had to start making the stuff. Well, I had nowhere to make it. So I went and bought, for my sauce, a turkey burner. And underneath my deck in my backyard, I made this batch of sauce, and it was raining outside. So people were driving by going, what's that? What's he doing making this stuff in my backyard in the rain in a turkey burner as I'm cooking my sauce? And it was awful. It was like, oh, holy what have I done? I can't make sauce right. And yet I'm halfway done building out a restaurant and I don't have sauce done yet. There was an old Italian guy, a rep for an Italian foods company. And I called him, I said, can you help me with this? And he came out, and after a couple hours in my kitchen, we had it figured out. It was close, but we had it figured out. So he helped me with that sauce. It's a sweet sauce with lots of onions. And the onions cook down, which makes the sauce sweet. We've had people buy our sauce. They still buy our sauce for 20 years. We have people, why don't you sell this in the market? And I think I try to do that, but it's too fresh. It doesn't last, its shelf life is 5 days. So yeah, it's pretty daily that we get people comment on it. A lot of people have gimmicks, whatever it may be. I think, the Neapolitan type pizza today is, the 90-second bake. I'm not sure what that does. It's 900 degrees, I think, in their ovens, and the top gets a little bit burned or chars. Well, so does ours, but all the heat's coming from the top of the oven and not from underneath. So the bottom of the pizza is not cooked thoroughly, or it's not all the way through. It's droopy and it gets soggy, and half the time the pizza in the center is not even cooked all the way. Our pizzas are cooked from the bottom up with heat on top, so it's cooked on both sides. So we cook our pizzas at 550 degrees. It's a 8-minute bake instead of a 3-minute bake, but it's firm on the bottom, light and airy on top. We'll roll it out, and then we'll sauce it, and then we'll cheese it, and then we'll slide it in the oven. But once that pizza hits the stone, it automatically creates a shield from anything seeping to the bottom of that pizza. So the next day, if you take it out of the fridge, it's still firm. You can cut it open and it looks like it did the previous day right when we took it out of the oven. It's just as good cold as it is hot.
It was great to see Stan have this relationship with his daughters, both of our daughters, that he was actually home. We would walk to the bus stop every day and we would both be there when the girls came off the bus. It made a huge difference in the upbringing of our daughters to have their dad actually around. He wasn't traveling.
I'm Katie. I am the oldest daughter of Stan and Sharon. Sid's opened in 2003, so I was, 10 years old. And it was awesome. As a kid growing up at your parents own a pizza place, I was just the kid that the parents can get us free pizza. So I remember in, 5th grade, we were like, oh, maybe we could have some pizza party at my classroom or whatever. So I was like, I'll call my dad. No worries, I've got this. Call him up. I was the coolest kid. I was like, pizza for everyone.
My oldest daughter, who worked with me during her high school years, and how great that was for me to spend time with her on that.
Growing up, working there, all through when I was 16 through 22, it was awesome because that was really where me and my dad got to spend a lot of our time together.
We would have a mini argument about how she got her tips, and her tips were so good because of her great service, and I would say, no, it was because of my pizza.
It's really awesome to watch your parents make something from the ground up. My dad, worked in the restaurant business the majority of his life, and to take the leap and want to make your own thing, for our family and the flexibility that it would allow, and just for his passion was really amazing to see and motivating for me and my sister.
Sid's was opened when I was 5.5, so it's been my life since the beginning. I've really known nothing else other than my dad owning a pizzeria. It was a really unique and cool experience for me just because everyone goes to school and they're like, oh, my dad works for this company, and no one really knows what their parents do, but I could be like, oh, my dad owns a pizzeria. Let me bring in some pizzas for you guys.
I think Kelsey was 5, and we were building this place out, and I gave a broom to my youngest daughter. I gave my 5-year-old daughter a broom to keep her busy and an apron, and the apron went to the ground, and she just loved sweeping the kitchen, so she'd be walking around sweeping for an hour. And it was awesome. It's a memory I'll never forget.
I would golf with my dad every day, and we would ride together. And then afterwards, we could go pick up some pizzas. Essentially, once I got my driver's license, I lived there. I would go pretty much every day after golf and pick up some form of food. My dad would be like, are you kidding? You again? So I've really been Sid's Pizza's biggest fan, and it's been nice to kind of share that journey with not only my sister, but my parents, and then bringing in new friends along the way who are some of our biggest supporters.
For us, it was never really work. It was just a passion for creating and sharing our food.
I feel like once you hear the story, you can't help but be a fan and just support a local business that's really come to be like a staple in the town. People know it, and once they have it for the first time, they're kind of devout followers, in my opinion.
A guy came in with his wife, and he had a chemo bag on him. He had cancer. He was dying of cancer. This is late in the day. There was no one in the building except me, and he walked in. He goes, I just want to let you know that, I want this to be my last meal, kind of jokingly. And, well, I don't know what to say. What do you say to that? Is that the ultimate compliment? We're just making pizzas. But to hear that is amazing.